Welcome back. Some eminent personalities and government officials were present at the launch of the Bumi Adedayo Foundation in Lagos. The foundation was set up to continue the legacy of Bumi Adedayo, who contributed significantly to child development before his demise in 2013. Our correspondent Mary Alale Yusuf reports.
From the colored blocks on the tables to the young faces in this crowd of people, you can tell that children are the special focus of this gathering. Friends and family of Bumi Adedayo, who died in 2013, are here to immortalize his name with the Bumi Adedayo Foundation, BAF, which would partner with the Lagos State government to continue his dream of bringing succor to less privileged children. The Yaba Model Nursery and Primary School and the Nathan Nursery and Primary School, also in Yaba, which are the first beneficiaries chosen by the foundation, put up a performance.
We are the world, we are the children, we are the ones who make a brighter day, so let's start giving.
Keynote speaker Mrs. Obi Ezekwesili speaks about a caring society that grows faster and better.
The family that we celebrate today came on the scene and revolutionized what we know as the fast food industry. This family represents what it means to live outside of yourself, even when you are in pain.
The unveiling of the foundation logo follows. For Oluwayemisi, Bumi's widow, it's been a fulfilling day.
Today Bumi would have been 39, and today we are birthing the Bumi Adedayo Foundation in his memory. So to me it's like his life continues to live on.
The chairman of the board of directors believes the foundation can be sustained.
Strategies for raising funds, strategy for impacting and affecting our targets, which are basically the children from disadvantaged areas. And those projects and programs in themselves will be a reason for people to continue to support us.
As an individual, Bumi Adedayo organized a kids' talent hunt, Santa Goes to School, and spelling bee competitions as some of his contributions to enrich the lives of children. Already, the foundation has adopted 2 schools and plans to continue intervention in the lives of children from less privileged backgrounds by giving them a better learning environment and also engaging them in extracurricular activities to sharpen their skills. Mary Alale Yusuf, Channels Television News.
There's been more good news from Ebola survivors in the country as the medical director of First Consultant Medical Center, Dr. Benjamin Tahiry, announced the birth of a baby girl to Dr. Akini Fadipe, an Ebola survivor. Dr. Fadipe's wife, Mudupe, was delivered of a baby girl at First Consultant Hospital on January 2nd. The healthy baby weighed 3.1 kilograms and was delivered following a strict guideline and recommendations from the U.S. Center for Disease Control. A couple tested negative for the Ebola virus and its antibodies. Dr. Fadipe's baby comes after Dr. Ada Igono and Dr. Dewale Adejuro had their babies in November and December last year. Now, 24 hours after the Lagos State government sent a new release suggesting to have shut down Owonifari markets in Oshodi in Lagos, the market has been flattened after bulldozers were moved to the site by the state government. Some traders who were shocked by the demolition claim that they were not sufficiently informed about the state government's intentions and lamented the loss of goods buried in the rubble. The Commissioner for Information and Strategy, Mr. Steve Ayorinde, had stated that the move was aimed at creating a new Oshodi. He, however, gave the assurance that the affected traders have been relocated to an alternative market. For the first time in 33 years of its existence, students admitted into the Lagos State University will now be required to stay on campus. It's one of 2 bills recently signed into law by the Lagos State Governor, Mr. Akinwumi Ambode, the other being the 25 billion naira Employment Trust Fund.
Two executive bills laid before Governor Akiwumi Ambode for his assent, a law to effect the 25 billion naira employment trust fund and for the amendment of the Lagos State University Law 2004. Governor Ambode says the establishment of the trust fund is in fulfillment of his campaign promise.
This bill will address the challenge of unemployment and promote wealth creation through entrepreneurial development. As I sign this bill today, an annual contribution of 6.25 billion naira will be injected into the fund by the state government for 4 years, totaling 25 billion naira. A board of trustees made up of core professionals will be announced in due course to manage this fund, which will be totally outside the purview of the state government.
Shortly after the ceremony, the Deputy Speaker of the Lagos State House of Assembly gives details of the bills, particularly the State University Law.
As it is now, the Vice Chancellor of LASG will spend 5 years, single term, so there will not be acrimony as to his second term, which usually has been the case in the last 2-3 decades. And also now, LASG has now been made residential formally, as far as practicable, by the Senate and the Governing Council of LASG. Also, all professors in LASG, the retirement age now will now be 70 years instead of 65, so as to retain them for more productive years and services to the institutions.
Governor Ambode says more information on the operations of the Employment Trust Fund, including a board of trustees made up of core professionals, will be announced in due course.
I'm now being joined on the news at 10 by the Special Advisor to the Governor on Education, Obafela Bank-Olemo, on the new Lagos laws making Lagos State University fully residential. You're welcome to the news at 10. Well, it does sound like music in a lot of people's ears that, you know, they will be spending more time at the university. But how will this work? How will the government fund this? And how is it supposed to work?
Okay, I mean, what we have now is LASG now allows school to be fully residential. Prior to this time, what we had was only for the clinical students and medicals that were allowed to stay within school campus. But now that space has been opened by this amendment in the law. What we expect to see in the coming months is to see, to hear how the Governing Council and the management of LASG intend to make this happen. But for His Excellency, the key thing is to ensure that we're able to open up that space. We want to see in the coming years our LASG students stay within the campus, make them more comfortable. You and I also know that students can be very exuberant, youthful exuberant amongst our students. So minimize the friction we used to have between the host community and the students. You know, we're hoping that these things will help us solve that problem in the long run.
Well, will this incur more fees for indigents and for those who are non-indigents of Lagos State?
The issue of school fees is not something we're discussing. It has nothing to do with school fees at all. The residential, nothing at all. The school fees of LASG will remain what it is. It's not going to be increased. You know, so what we're talking about here is just residents of our students, trying to make them more comfortable and ensure that we can get the best for our students within the campus system. And
how soon will this start?
I mean, from the government's perspective, what we've done is to create that space. It now boils down to the Governing Council and also the management of LASG to come and say how they intend to implement this. If they need any support from the government, we'll take it as that goes on. But right now, we have to leave the Governing Council of LASG and the management of LASG to give us clarity on how they intend to implement this side of the law.
If I'm hearing you correctly, the government is providing the accommodation, which means the government will build the hostels.
Not necessarily, no. What the government has done is that the law of LASG has been amended. Now it's up to the Governing Council and the management of LASG. The VC of we have a new Vice Chancellor LASG as well, and Professor Larry Fagbo, to now come in and say, how do they intend to implement this thing as fast as it's practicable? I'm sure it's going to be things you're going to see over a phased period, but definitely you're going to see something that's going to improve.
Thank you so much for joining us on the news at 10. Obafela Bank-Olemo.
Thank you.
I've been speaking with the Special Advisor to the Governor on Education, Obafela Bank-Olemo. A peace has returned to Osile Village in Obunike, Oyi local government area of Anambra State after 8 years of violence. Indigents of the community may not forget in a hurry the days of enmity and the result of the clashes, including the death of over 10 able-bodied youth and destruction of their homes. Tonight, our community report focuses on the 4 kindreds that make up the community and as they celebrate the return of peace and unity.
Now you're talking.
This untarred road welcomes one to Osile, one of the 6 villages in Ogbunike in Oyi local government area of Anambra State. It's a community that was once ravaged by crisis following sharp disagreements over the administrative tenure of some past leaders of the community. The ancient oil bean tree at the center of the ancestral village square does not give any hint of the mayhem that occurred here. But some residents recount the story of the intra-communal crisis which lasted for 8 years and resulted in the destruction of over 70 houses and the death of over 10 young persons.
I discovered that some group of youths went to Agosile and they apprehended the then youth chairman, one popularly known as Obatuleni. So on the process of trying to resolve the issue with my fellow Osile brothers, so I didn't know that there is people trying to make the village ungovernable. So at the process, as I tried to stop them, they became angry. They now set my father's house ablaze.
2 houses. My father's old house behind this was burned down with this. They only did not burn the very last one there, which is for what I kept for tenants, because the tenants were there and they could not drive them out immediately. But the situation is that this happened with my own brothers.
I traveled, and when I came back, in fact, the day I arrived, I was told that my house was one of the houses, 73 houses burnt by some disgruntled youths who were misled, and all over the places, there was turmoil, people fled, people were killed, the army came in and the police to restore order, and in fact, it was terrible. We termed it the dark days in Osile.
Osile then became a ghost town as many of the villagers fled to neighboring communities to seek refuge. Cassava production and other agricultural activities, which the village is known for, has long crumbled. With the efforts of a new President General, the 4 villages which make up the community have now embraced peace. They've all come together to attend a feast at the village square to celebrate the newfound harmony. The Deputy Governor of the state, Nkemo Keke, who attended the event, expressed joy over the reunion.
I am happy that there is peace in Osile Ogbunike, and we thank God for that. Peace brings about prosperity, and we're praying for a better Osile, a better Ogbunike, a better Enugu Kwebensi, and a better Anambra.
Some members of the community also speak about this new development.
I am happy that there is peace now. In fact, that is why I came to clear this place, to start thinking about what next to do.
If you want to buy cassava, you can only come to Agosile. If you want to purchase a land that you can cultivate, you can come to Agosile. So we in that agricultural sector, we are promising and we are assuring the people that by next year they will still come to Osile and buy.
Because the crisis started with the youths, a symbolic Unity Cup football match was organized for the youths, after which they danced and celebrated in groups.
Now you're talking.
It's in our focus now to business news. Here's Imana Amawe.
You first. First Bank.
Welcome to Business News. The Managing Director of the International Monetary Fund, Christine Lagarde, says the fund does not support foreign exchange restrictions and that any such measures should be temporary. She said this during a meeting with lawmakers in Abuja. According to her, additional exchange rate flexibility, either up or down, can help soften the impact of external shocks make output and employment less volatile, and help build external reserves. Ms. Lagarde, who is in Nigeria for 4 days, has also held meetings with President Muhammadu Buhari and his economic team. And the Naira may come under pressure this year as the U.S. Federal Reserve plans to further raise its key interest rate. This is the view of the senior macroeconomist at EcoBank London, Ms. Jemin Nonyane, who was our guest on Business Incorporated. Well, according to her, investors may move away from frontier markets to a safer market like the United States.
The concern is whether it will continue to increase. It's about 25 basis points in the next 4 quarters, in March, June, September, and December this year, or whether it will increase by even higher levels of 50 basis points, because as it does so, then we're likely to see some continued strengthening of the US dollar, and at the same time, investors are likely to move their money outside from frontier markets, which are more perceived to be more risky, to less risky markets such as the US economy. And what that means for Nigeria is that this will lead to capital outflows, which will continue to put further downward pressure on the Naira, and we'll see continued weakening of the Naira as a result.
Well, it's barely 3 days into the first week of the new year, and the bears have taken over the Nigerian equities market, pushing the key indicator down by as low as 3.28%. For details, here's BC Adebayo.
Hello and welcome to the Stock Market Reports. The Nigerian equities market got a massive haircut today as key indicator slips further, this time by over 3% on profit taken by investors. The all-share index declined by 3.28% and midweek session at 27,180.76. Market capitalization dropped to 9.34 trillion naira. 21 stocks declined, and top on that list was Dangote Cement with a 9.75% loss. Nigerian breweries shed 5.49%, while PZ lost 2.91%. WAPCO led 13 other price gainers, which include 7-Up and Berger Paints. FCMB, Access Bank, and Zenith Bank were the major contributors to market turnover. When stocks crossed the finish line, investors had exchanged 202.72 million shares, valued at 1.48 billion naira, in over 3,000 deals. And that's a wrap on the Stock Market Reports. I am BC Adebayo.
Now, it's been a rather bumpy ride for most markets since the year began. Well, let's find out how well or otherwise equities fared across the global markets today. And that's our package on business news tonight. I'm Emana Amawe. Thank you for watching. Amarachi will be back with the rest of the news at 10.
You first. First Bank.
Still ahead on the news at 10, Nigeria's Super Eagles intensify their preparations for next week's African Nations Championship with a 1-1 draw against Angola in a friendly match. Details in sports news. Please stay with us.